So after you have sex with a guy, okay, in order to make him chase, all you have to make sure to do is look, ladies. Let's first talk about why some men don't return after sex. And then after that, we're going to talk about the signs he might not chase you after sex. And then after that, we're going to talk about what to do after you have sex with a guy to keep him interested. The first thing is first is that, well, the first reason why guys don't return after sex is that they just didn't like you physically. Okay? They just didn't like the way you looked physically. Maybe you met them online and stuff like that. But that's the most obvious sign, because even if you're a psycho, even if you're racist, a guy will come back to tap that ass just because he finds you attractive. I remember I went out with a girl who was racist towards Asians. She was crazy in the bedroom, right? And one day we went to Chinatown, and then she was like, "Oh, Asians," you know? And I was like, "What the fuck did she just say?" She was like, "I fucking hate Asians," right? And I'm like, "Yo, I'm leaving this bitch." And then my dick was like, "Hey, I didn't hear shit." Like, guys don't care. When it comes to sex, a guy, in order for the guy to at least see you next time, he has to find you attractive. Guys don't just push away a girl because she's crazy, all right? So that's the first thing. If a guy doesn't come back, it just means for the most part, you just weren't his type, okay? The second thing is that there's another woman, an ex of his, somebody who he was in a relationship with, or maybe he's not over his ex and stuff like that. Most likely he didn't come back chasing because of an ex. Maybe he was on the break with them. The third thing is that you don't look like your photos, right? Or you weren't looking your best, right? Why? Because men need to see. When I'm on a date and a woman is dressing conservatively, I don't mind that. Don't get me wrong, okay? I really don't mind that. But it's kind of like, bitch, I gotta see how you look. Are you fat? Are you fucking overweight? Are you in shape? I mean, I gotta see that. And if I don't see it in a woman, like, I'll find ways. I'm like, I'll tease her, I'll poke her. Poking. I'm like, get out of here. Just go like that. Sorry. Yeah, you didn't look at your photos, or you're not looking your best, right? So it's kind of like when you're on a date with a guy and you go out with a guy, just make sure you look your best. If you find the most attractive body part of yours, highlight it and make everything else look conservative. An example could be if you have big boobs, make everything look conservative. But hint that you got some tickle bitties, okay? If you have nice legs, make sure that everything is conservative, except make sure to show some part of your leg that accentuates that you have nice legs, right? Don't be obvious, all right? Don't be walking around with your titties out, as an example. But make sure you just highlight, subtly hint that you have something to offer. That's just, because guys are visual creatures. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't make them. I'm only explaining them. The next sign is that the reason why he doesn't see you after sex is that he just didn't have any chemistry with you. He found you attractive, everything was good, but that he just doesn't find that chemistry. And the last one is just bad sex. All right, you guys, there was no sexual chemistry between the two of you. Okay, so now let's talk about what are the signs that he might not chase you after sex. Okay, let's talk about these signs because it's very important. But before that, just to let you guys know, I have a few courses for sale. Natural Chemistry is a course that I created for women who are in relationships and who want to strengthen the bond with the man that they're seeing in their life. This is like a 6-week course that will show you how to set boundaries, how to express your love to the guy, how to make the guy love you even more. All of these courses have a 30-day money-back guarantee. And the next course, it's called The Psychological Game of Attraction. That's a course for women who are single. I will teach you the strategies to going from friends and not knowing each other to him wanting a relationship with you. This is pretty much the playbook to get to for women who are single. You can purchase it on the description down below. The links are there. So the next one is that signs that he might not see you after sex is him not having a dad in his life and being raised in an environment where his mom or dad didn't have a committed relationship. Those types of people will have a tough time committing because they never got an example of what it is to have a committed relationship, all right? So if he tells you he never had a dad in his life, it doesn't mean he's going to do that to you, but it increases the likelihood because those people who didn't have a stable family, they don't know the concept of commitment for the most part because they never got that example. Other signs that he might not chase you after the sex is that he's still not over his ex, um, or he's taking a break with from his ex, right? So you can find out. Notice if he talks about his ex. Notice if he complains about his ex. Notice if he tells you that his ex cheated on him. Most likely, those are traumas that haven't healed, right? And those types of traumas it'll have such control over him that if his ex comes back and says I want to be with you, he'll leave you for her, right? Um, Other signs that he might not chase after sex is that he's drinking a lot. When a guy drinks a lot on a date, most likely he's alcoholic, or he doesn't find you that attractive and he's trying to hype himself up into banging you. All right. Also, notice the country that he's from, or notice the country that you're in. If you live in a culture in a country that has socialist welfare program, studies show that it increases the likelihood that men and women will have casual sex and have less committed relationships. Socialist welfare programs or communistic countries will increase the likelihood that people will have more casual sex and not call back after sex. Research it. Why? Because women feel more secure in a socialist welfare program because women don't need men that much. They're provided for. And because they don't need men that much, they don't give a fuck about what men think about them. And because they don't care what men think about them, they'll have casual sex a lot more often. And if they're having casual sex, men will then change their mating strategies towards being more towards casual sex. Men will literally reflect what women want. And another thing is that if you live in a culture where there's more women than men, it'll increase the likelihood of there being more casual sex. There's countless of studies that show that. Perfect example is Sweden. Another thing is that most likely he might not call you back if you're older than him. All right. Why? Because younger men usually focus more on sex, and also younger men will never. Most likely, younger men are not wired to have an emotional connection with older women in terms of relationship. All right. So make sure he's either of your age or older. Younger men will only chase after sex. But if you guys are having casual sex though, men's range is larger, right, for casual sex. But for a relationship, the age range for men is a lot shorter, and men prefer women either their age or younger. All right. So if you just by simply dating guys your age or older, and make sure that you don't meet them online, it'll increase the likelihood that he might actually come back after sex. Why? Because studies show that when you meet people online, most likely you're never going to see them again after the first date. There's just too many options. No. So now, what do you do after you have sex with the guy? The two things you have to do. One, make sure, just out of all the things I tell you, this is the most important one. After you have sex with a guy, to make him chase, just make sure that, one, you protect yourself by not fantasizing about him, by not imagining how this is the relationship that you finally found, that you cannot wait to go on a trip with him in the mountains of Himalayas. Because when you fantasize about the guy, because you have great chemistry, let's just say the date went well and you guys had great chemistry, and so you decided to have sex with him. Just because by you fantasizing about him, you pretty much fall in love with him, fantasizing, saying how this will happen, saying how that will happen. When you're on the date with a guy, the more you like him, I want you to then counteract that force by being practically negative. What do I mean by being practically negative? I mean that you intentionally assume in your mind that things are not going to work out, and you literally don't even entertain the thought of him being in a relationship with him, even after sex. Because what that does is that it allows you to be more detached. It allows you to deal with the fact that he might not call you back after sex. Why? Because the people who you hook up with, a lot of times, it's not going to work out. That's life. You have to fail before you succeed. Most likely, the people who you have sex with will never love you for you. I will say 90% of people won't love you for you at being conservatively. So you have to prepare yourself for the inevitable disappointment. And the worst thing that you could do, because it's a lot easier to fuck it up than to fix it. In other words, what's in your control is making him not like you. That's in your control a lot more than making him like you. The problem is that a lot of the times the people who we regret losing are not the ones that we kind of like use the strategy to make them like you. The ones that we feel most regret are the people who actually liked us but we were so fucking needy that we pushed them away. Avoid pushing the guys that you like away. As long as you avoid that, if he doesn't like you, it's not your fault. Because most people just won't like you. So how do you do that? Don't fantasize. Because the reason why you push him away is because you're fantasizing that everything's gonna work out, and so you get on the offensive and start being Bob the Builder and start building this relationship, assuming that if you visualize the relationship between you and him, if you put it out into the universe, if you act this way, you're gonna make him like you. No, guys, if they don't find you attractive, if they don't feel the chemistry, they may bag you, but they may not want a relationship with you. Don't force the issue. Don't bring people into your life who are not fully 100% into you, which is, you want to have people who really, really like you. Not somebody who will take a week to text you back or who's not desperate to see you. You want the guys that are really into you. So to create that kind of dynamic, you just have to control your fantasies. It'll control your emotions. It'll make you more rational, and it'll make you more attractive. Why? Because when you don't like the guy, you notice they like you back a lot more. And how do you make that happen? When you don't like the guy, you don't fantasize about being with the motherfucker. And so your behavior is less needy and your behavior is more distant. That distance creates a friction in his mind that says, does she like me? Does she not? So by you not fantasizing about him, even though you feel that chemistry, he's going to sense that distance. And that's going to make him chase a lot harder. And you're going to unconsciously do the right thing. But let me tell you what to do, though. But if you actually just don't fantasize about him, you'll notice you're going to do what I tell you automatically. But this is what you got to do. After the sex, make sure that you don't text him. Make sure you don't text him or call him, right? Let him be the one that messages you first, because it says everything you need to know. If he does message you first, it doesn't mean he loves you. It means he wants to see you again, which means there's another opportunity to increase the attraction. And what's the attraction? The attraction is pretty much created in your absence. It's created in your inconsistency and in the chemistry that you both feel. They both come together. If he doesn't have any chemistry, your distance is not going to make him miss you. If you have chemistry, and you don't create distance, the chemistry is not going to make him miss you because you're always there. Just make sure you implement both things. Where if you have the chemistry, but also be distant sometimes. So the distance could come by you not texting him after sex. If he texts you that night or even the next day, take a whole day to respond. Just make sure to apologize and say why you didn't respond. Don't say you didn't respond because you didn't want to respond. Say you didn't respond because something happened. You lost your phone. Don't make him feel like you're playing a game. Okay? 1 second. So that's one thing, right? Make him text you after the date. Now, if he doesn't text you after sex, don't text him. I'm sorry. Like, seriously, don't text him. But if you're desperate, text him back 3 weeks later. Because then it'll show him that you're not really desperate. But if a guy doesn't text you back after sex, do not text him. He didn't forget. He didn't lose his phone. Dicks don't forget. Okay? So what you want to do is accept that sometimes some people might not like you and they're not going to chase you. Trying to convince somebody to love you back, trying to convince somebody to chase you will only push him away even further from you. So don't do nothing. That's pretty much the whole thing. Why? Because when you like the guy, this is the last thing that you do. You do everything in your powers to make him chase, and that turns him off. Let your unavailability, let your distance do the dirty work for you. That's the mentality you gotta have. Let your unavailability do the dirty work for you. Let your distance do the dirty work for you. If they like you, they're gonna react with chasing, right? But just make sure that you don't fuck it up. That is your only responsibility. Don't fuck it up, okay? All right. Anyways, that's how you get a guy to chase you back after sex. Always remember, if a guy doesn't chase you back after sex, it wasn't because of the sex. Especially if you live in a Western culture. Now, if you live in a religious culture, that's true, right? But if you live in a Western culture, most guys won't do that. They'll get turned off by your neediness a lot more than by quick sex. I can promise you. All right, you could tell that to any guys. What turned them off, I can promise you, most guys won't say it was a sex. It was because she was a fucking psycho and she couldn't leave me alone. All right. Anyways, if you guys need one-on-one coaching, go to mindfulattraction.org to get one-on-one coaching, and you'll be able to book a call with me, and I can help you out with your dating problems and stuff like that. And let me know what other videos you guys want me to make next. Watch my previous video about inflicting pain. It's in the you could check it out right here. But before that, make sure you watch the ad where I tell you about a course that I have, which is called Nice Girl. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I want you guys to check out my new course called Nice Girl. It's available for purchase right now, okay? This course I specifically made for women who consider themselves nice, for women who are too forgiving, for women who let other people guilt trip them easily, for women who always give people the benefit of the doubt but always end up getting played. This course will teach you about people's actual manipulations, about the strategies that people use to extort from you, to take from you without you getting anything in return. Because nice people are in abundance in the world. And nice people, unfortunately, if they allow their nature to guide their lives, they will become bitter because they'll end up seeing that their niceness never leads to anything. So the goal of being a nice person is to get people to like you. But sometimes it has actual backward effects. Like it actually creates what you're trying to avoid. So this course will teach nice girls how to get what they want through being more assertive, how to express themselves, how to not get played, how to identify manipulation, how to reverse manipulation. So if you're somebody who's always had that consistently in their lives, who are always people pleaser, who are always being passive aggressive, this course will teach you how to communicate all of those things that you want to communicate with people without getting played, okay? I'll teach you how to be more assertive. I'll teach you how to identify disrespect, because when you're a nice person, you have a hard time understanding when people are being disrespectful because you're seeing the world through insecurity. You want to be liked, and so when somebody doesn't like you, you sort of twist it around in a weird way. So I show you how to see disrespect. I show you how to stand up for yourself. I show you how to deter aggressors. I show you how to avoid sending signs of weakness, and how to send signs of strength, right? And I even show you a meditation on how to become more assertive. Check it out. It's a course that it's not a super long course because I made it that length for a reason. I don't want to overburden you with too much information. This is just straight to the point. If you watch this course, you will get the results. This is not a 5-hour course, okay? This is like a 2.5-hour course. So I think it's 2 hours or something like that. And the reason why that is because it's straight to the point. Okay, so if you watch that course, do what the videos say. You will over time overcome your niceness. Okay, purchase it now. In the description down below, you'll see where it says "Purchase Nice Girl." It's only $99, and there's a 30-day money back guarantee. No questions asked. You'll get your money back. Okay, because if you don't get it back, I'm closing the channel. That's for sure. All right, so I'll see you guys inside, and I hope you guys enjoy that course.